the chain is done what? The chain is secured through cryptography, making it extremely difficult to alter or tamper with the transactions that are recorded in this ledger. You understand? That's the meaning of blockchain. Blockchain. So blockchain technology is a decentralized digital ledger system. In short, blockchain technology is, in other words, a decentralized digital ledger system. It is a decentralized digital ledger system. Blockchain technology is a decentralized digital ledger system. It is a decentralized digital ledger system. It is a decentralized digital ledger system that records transactions across many computers, so that are linked together. All right? You understand? In such a way that the registered transactions cannot be altered retroactively. After the registration is done, then one cannot alter what has been recorded in this system, which is secured by cryptography. You understand? Features, characteristics, attributes. 1, decentralization. Decentralization is a fundamental feature of blockchain technology. Unlike traditional databases that are controlled by a central authority, a blockchain is maintained by a network of nodes or computers that participate in the network. It's totally decentralized. Transparency is a key feature of blockchain technology. Transparency. All transactions on a blockchain are visible to all participants. And this transparency candidate ensures accountability and helps prevent fraud. Immutability. That means what is recorded here cannot be changed or altered. Once a transaction is recorded on the blockchain, it cannot be changed or deleted. And this feature is achieved through what we call cryptographic hashing and linking of blocks. Immutability. The blockchain technology is also characterized by what we call smart contracts. Smart contracts. And before even explaining smart contracts, then maybe I need to explain again what we call consensus mechanism. Consensus mechanism. These are feature. Consensus mechanism. Now to validate and to add new transactions to the blockchain, participants must agree on the accuracy of the transactions. This is what we call common consensus mechanism, which includes the proof of work and also proof of stake. The participants must agree on the accuracy of what is recorded. That is the meaning of consensus mechanism. Then we have smart contracts. Some blockchains like the Ethereum allow for creation of smart contracts. These are self-executing contracts with the terms directly written into codes. The terms and conditions of the contracts are written into codes, and this automates processes. It also enhances agreements without the need for intermediaries. 6, security is the third feature of blockchain technology. Blockchain uses cryptographic techniques to secure data and to ensure that unauthorized parties cannot alter transactions. Unauthorized parties cannot alter transactions. This is feature number 6. So these are 6 key features of blockchain. One feature is associated with decentralization. Number 2, transparency. Number 3, immutability. Number 4, smart contracts. Number 5, consensus mechanism. Number 6, security. Now is our time to answer one question that has so far been tested in financial and this question is it August? I draw attention to August 2023 question 3A. August 2023 question 3A. Now in these questions, candidates were required to identify challenges that organizations face while adopting blockchain technology in their operations. Challenges that organizations face while adopting challenges faced while adopting blockchain technology in their operations. What are the challenges that organizations face while adopting blockchain technology in their operations? That is a question. We all know that the adoption of blockchain technology is very promising, but it presents a wide range of challenges. So what are the challenges? 1, scalability issues. Scalability issues. Now, blockchain networks, particularly the public ones, can struggle to handle a high volume of transactions, and that can lead to slow processing times and also increased fees, which hinders widespread adoption. 2, regulatory uncertainty is a challenge. Regulatory uncertainty, the lack of clear and consistent regulations surrounding blockchain technology, including even the cryptocurrencies, creates uncertainty for businesses, and that can make it difficult to determine legal compliance, which can discourage investment. 3, interoperability. Interoperability means, candidates here, that different blockchain platforms often operate in isolation. Different blockchains operate in isolation, which makes it difficult to exchange data. It makes it difficult to exchange assets between the blockchains, blockchain technologies or blockchain platforms. So that lack of interoperability limits the potential for collaboration and potential for integration. Interoperability. The 4th challenge is security. There are also security concerns, as much as we have the cryptographic system, where while this technology is highly secure, there could still be vulnerabilities which exist in applications that are built on top of it, such as smart contracts and so on. So organizations must address these security risks in order to protect sensitive data, in order to protect their assets. There's also the aspect of securing of private keys, which is a source of concern. So security concerns. 5, complexity. From the word complex. Blockchain technology can be complex, and many organizations lack the expertise to implement and manage it effectively. And that can make it difficult to develop and also to deploy blockchain-based solutions. Understand? So there is complexity and usability. Complexity and usability. Usability. Complexity and usability. User experience is also a factor. Many participants may not be user many applications may not be user friendly. Let me put it that way. So that's a challenge. Another obvious challenge is cost of implementation. I'm wondering why some of you are wondering why I'm not mentioning cost. Cost is a factor. Number 6, cost of implementation. Implementing blockchain technology can be expensive, which requires investments in hardware, software, and even skilled personnel. And that can be a barrier for adoption, particularly for small or medium-sized companies. 7, integration with existing systems can be problematic. Integration with existing systems. Integrating blockchain technology with the existing systems can be complex, can be challenging. So many organizations struggle to bridge the gap between their traditional infrastructure and the new blockchain platforms. So that integration can be a challenge, and that's why organizations may shy away from implementing blockchain technology. Data privacy. How is it a challenge? Data privacy. Now, balancing the transparency of blockchain with the need for data privacy can also be challenging. And organizations must find ways to protect sensitive data while still leveraging the benefits of blockchain technology. 9, lack of standardization. Now, how is lack of standardization a challenge? Now, the blockchain space lacks widely adopted standards, which can create comparability issues and even hinder widespread adoption. So these are 9 challenges that organizations may face while adopting blockchain technology, and that is the end of the lesson on blockchain technology. In this lesson, we've defined blockchain technology. We've discussed the features of blockchain technology. Then we have answered one question that has so far been tested under this subtopic, which is August 2023, question 3A. Candidates were to give the challenges that organizations face while adopting blockchain technology. We've identified 9 challenges. 1 is challenge related to scalability. Number 2, regulatory uncertainty. Number 3, interoperability. Number 4, security concerns. Number 5, complexity and usability. Number 6, cost of implementation. Number 7, integration with existing systems. Number 9, data privacy. This is number 8. Number 9, lack of standardization. We had earlier on discussed 6 features, and these features are in relation to decentralization. Number 2, transparency. Number 3, immutability. Number 4, smart contracts. 5, consensus mechanism and security. Thank you for attending the lesson. In our next session, we are going to discuss crowdfunding as a contemporary and emerging issue in finance. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back to the Advanced Financial Management session. The topic is contemporary issues and emerging trends. Today we come to the end of the study of this topic. So far we've covered cryptocurrency. Number 2, blockchain technology. Number 3, crowdfunding. 4, digitization of financial services. 5, big data project finance. 6, Islamic finance. And in our last session, we covered behavioral finance. Today we move to the last subtopic, which is derivative markets in developing countries. derivatives market in developing countries. That is an emerging trend in 2024, 2025. Now, derivative markets are markets where derivatives are traded. And what is a derivative? Now, a derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from an underlying asset. And that underlying asset can be anything from stocks and bonds to commodities, currencies, or even interest rates. So derivative markets in developing countries are experiencing several key emerging trends, which reflects the evolving nature of global finance and the specific needs of economies. All right, so we want to discuss derivatives markets in the developing countries, emerging trends. All right, so the markets, derivative markets in the developing countries are experiencing several key emerging trends, and these are the trends I want us to discuss in our today's lesson. One is increased digitization. We've witnessed increased digitization in the derivatives markets in developing countries in the recent past, including fintech integration. Fintech integration. The adoption of electronic trading platforms. Electronic trading platforms is expanding to derivative markets, and that reduces transaction costs and improves market efficiency. You understand? We witness increased digitization and fintech. Fintech means financial technology. You understand? That is electronic trading platforms. Electronic trading platforms. Electronic trading platforms and fintech integration or solutions. Now, fintech companies are developing innovative solutions for derivative trading and risk management, which makes the tools more accessible to smaller businesses and investors. 2, there is a focus on risk management. That's another trend. The focus is on risk management, particularly currency risk hedging. Yes, currency risk hedging. Currency risk hedging. Currency risk hedging. Now, given the volatility of currencies in many developing countries, there is a growing demand for currency derivatives to hedge against the exchange rate fluctuations. Related to risk management, again, there is the commodity price risk management. Commodity price risk management. Many developing economies are heavily reliant on commodity exports, leading to increased demand for commodity derivatives in order to manage price risks. Related to risk management, here there is the interest rate risk management. Interest rate risk management. Interest rate risk management. Interest rate risk management. Now, as financial markets in developing countries mature, there is a growing need for interest rate derivatives to manage interest rate risks. So that is the second emerging thing. The third is regulatory development. Regulatory development. We are discussing emerging trends in derivatives markets in developing countries. The third point is regulatory development. Governments are now increasingly focusing on developing robust regulatory frameworks for derivatives markets in order to ensure market stability and prevent abuse. And that involves improving transparency, enhancing risk management practices, and also strengthening market surveillance. So we have strengthening of regulatory framework. Governments are strengthening regulatory frameworks. Furthermore, there are efforts underway to harmonize regulatory standards with international best practices. Harmonization of standards. Governments in developing countries are trying to harmonize their standards with international best standards. The fourth emerging trend, growing local currency derivatives. We witness growth in local currency derivatives in the developing countries. There is a trend towards the development of local currency derivative markets, which can provide greater liquidity and reduce reliance on foreign currency derivatives. So there is increased liquidity. Increased liquidity due to growing local currency derivatives. You understand? Then related to the growing local currency derivative, there is the aspect of tailored products. Tailored products in the developing countries, there is that growing need for tailored products. Local exchanges are developing derivative products that are tailored to the specific needs of their domestic markets. Tailored products. Then we can as well indicate the application or the trend towards sustainable finance. Sustainable finance. Now, this sustainable finance is can be studied together with the ESG integration and ESG integration. That is the environmental, social, and governance integration. Understand? Through green derivatives, there is an emerging trend towards the development of green derivatives, which are used to hedge against the risk associated with the sustainable investment. We have also the ESG linked derivatives. So these are derivatives that are linked to environmental, social, and governance factors that are also gaining traction. So these are some of the developing trends in derivative markets in developing countries. Now, one may be asked, what are the challenges of derivative markets in developing countries? Let's discuss the challenges. Challenges. What are the challenges faced by derivative markets in the developing countries? That's the question. Now, derivative markets in developing countries, while offering significant potential, they also may face several challenges that hinder their growth and effectiveness. One challenge is limited liquid, because we have thin markets in developing countries. Because of thin markets, derivative markets are not expanded, they are thin. they experience low liquidity volumes, low trading volumes, leading to illiquidity. And that makes it difficult to execute large trades without significantly impacting prices. So we have limited liquidity because of the thin markets and also because of lack of participants. There are few people that have invested in derivatives. Like my producer here, I've just asked him here if he has any investments in derivatives. It says he has it. So there are many people in developing countries who have not invested in derivatives. And that is a challenge that has led to limited liquidity. The money is not flowing towards that market. There's limited participation from institutional investors and even retail traders, which increases the liquidity problem. The second challenge is related to regulations, regulatory framework, regulatory and legal framework. How is it a challenge? How is it a challenge? Now, many developing countries lack robust and comprehensive regulatory framework for derivative markets, leading to uncertainty and increased risk. All right? And even when regulations exist, enforcement can be a challenge. All right? Which undermines market integrity. There could also be legal uncertainty. This is uncertainty regarding contract enforcement and dispute resolution can deter potential market participation. Let's move on to the third challenge, number 3, lack of financial literacy and expertise. Lack of financial literacy and expertise is a challenge that is hindering development of derivatives market in developing countries. Lack of understanding of derivatives among potential market participants can hinder also market development. We also have shortage of skilled professionals. Developing countries often have a shortage of skilled professionals with expertise in derivatives trading, risk management, and also regulatory compliance. 4, infrastructure and technology. These are challenges. Infrastructure and technology. Developing countries may lack the necessary technological infrastructure such as reliable trading platforms and communication networks to support efficient derivatives markets. There could also be costs associated with implementing and maintaining advanced trading technologies, which can be prohibiting for developing countries. Challenge number 5 is counterparty risk. Counterparty risk. If you recall, in the topic on financial risk management, we discussed quite at length the issues to do with derivatives and even the risks. And we defined counterparty risk as the risk that one of the parties to the derivatives contract may default. All right? Counterparty risks. Counterparty risk is the risk that one party to a derivative contract will default, and that can be higher in developing countries due to weak financial institutions and less developed legal systems. So counterparties is very high in developing countries because of weak legal systems. 6, volatility is a challenge. Volatility is a challenge. Economic instability is another challenge. And economic instability in developing countries. These are factors, challenges, all right? Volatility and economic stability. We know candidates, developing countries often experience higher levels of economic and political volatility, which can increase the risk of derivatives trading. They are also affected by currency fluctuations. There are significant currency fluctuations which can create challenges for hedging and risk management using derivatives. You've seen in Kenya how the Kenya shilling is volatile, and that is a challenge when it comes to development of derivatives market. 7, market fragmentation. Market fragmentation. How is it a challenge? It's a challenge because of lack of integration. Lack of integration. What do I mean by that? Now, fragmented markets and lack of integration with the global financial markets can limit the growth and efficiency of derivatives markets in developing countries. So markets in developing countries are not integrated with the international markets, and that is a limiting factor. So developing countries have to address these challenges in order to fully realize the benefits of derivative markets for risk management and economic development. And that marks the end of the lesson, in which we've discussed the derivative markets in developing countries. We've discussed 5 emerging trends in derivative markets in developing countries. We've gone ahead to discuss the challenges that developing countries may face or are facing in the development of derivatives markets. Thank you for attending the lesson. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to the lesson. In our today's session, proceeding with the topic Contemporary and Emerging Issues in Finance. The subject is Advanced Financial Management. Our focus today is on Big Data Project Finance. We will begin by defining what Big Data Project Finance is. Then in this lesson, we look at the examples of projects that utilize large and complex databases within the financial industry. We'll also take time to answer some of the past papers that have been tested in this lesson, this subtopic, Big Data Project Finance. Now, first of all, candidates, Big Data Project Finance encompasses the financial aspects of projects that involve the collection, the processing, and the analysis of large and complex data sets. And the reason why this subtopic has been included in your syllabus is because this area is crucial in today's data-driven world, particularly within the financial services sector. You understand? So it encompasses the financial aspects of projects. Big Data Project Finance. It encompasses the financial aspects of projects that involve large and complex data sets. So what is Big Data Project Finance? In other words, Big Data Project Finance refers to the financial aspects involved in projects that utilize large and complex data sets within the financial services industry. That's it. Refers to the financial aspects. The financial big data project finance refers to the financial aspects involved in projects that utilize large and complex data sets in the financial sector. That's it. That's the meaning of big data project finance. So let's break it further. What do we mean by big data? Big data. Big data. Big data. What is the meaning of big data? Now, big data involves massive volume of data, both structured and non-structured. Large. This is large volume of data, and this data could be structured or unstructured. Such big data is analyzed to reveal patterns, trends, and associations. So large volume of data that is analyzed to reveal patterns, to reveal trends, and also to reveal associations. That's the meaning of big data. What of project finance? So we have big data, project finance. Project finance, on the other hand, there are two words: project finance. It encompasses the funding, the budgeting, and financial management of a specific project. And therefore, candidates, when put together, big data project finance, when you put together the big data project finance, essentially deals with the allocation of financial resources for projects that leverage big data technologies in the financial sector. It encompasses the evaluation of the costs and returns associated with such projects, and also the management of the financial risk involved in handling large data sets. Now, in practical terms, candidates, that means addressing the financial considerations related to infrastructure, related to data management, related to personnel, related to return on investment, and also risk management. You understand? So what are some of the examples of projects that utilize large data and complex data sets within the financial industry? What are the examples? Let's get into the examples so that we have a deeper meaning of big data project finance. What are the examples of projects that utilize large and complex data sets within the financial industry? Now, candidates, it's very common for financial institutions to use big data. So what are some of the applications or examples of projects that use big data within the financial industry? 1, fraud detection and prevention. Fraud detection and prevention. All right. Banks and credit card companies analyze billions of transactions in real time. And they do that in order to identify unusual patterns that may indicate fraud or fraudulent activity. And that involves analyzing data such as transactions amounts, locations, time of the day, customer behavior, and so on. You understand? Fraud detection and prevention. The data utilizes transaction records, customer profiles, data, location data, device information, historical fraud data, and so on. You understand? So that is one application of big data project finance: fraud detection and prevention. The second example is what we call algorithmic trading, from the word algorithms. Algorithmic trading. What is the project description? Here, candidates, we have investment firms that use sophisticated algorithms to analyze market data and execute trades at high speeds. And that involves analyzing data such as stocks, the prices of shares, the prices of stocks, the volumes of trades, new feeds, social media sentiment, and so on. And in algorithmic trading, the data that is utilized could be the market data, the stock prices, the trading volumes, the news articles, social media feeds, economic indicators, and so on. That's a second application or example. The third example is credit scoring and risk assessment. Credit scoring and risk assessment. We know lenders will use big data to assess the credit worthiness of loan applicants. And that involves analyzing data such as the credit history, the income, the employment, and even social media activity. Now, data that is utilized in credit scoring and risk assessment may include the credit reports, the bank statements, employment records, social media data, public records, and so on. 4, customer segmentation. Customer segmentation goes hand in hand with personalized banking. Personalized banking. Customer segmentation and personalized banking. Banks use big data to segment customers based on their behavior, based on their preferences, and that allows them to offer personalized financial products and services. And here, the data that is used could be the transaction history, the demographics of the customers, the also online activity, and so on. Let's move on to the fourth example, which is in relation to regulations. Let me call it regulatory compliance and reporting. Regulatory compliance and reporting. Now here, financial institutions use big data to comply with regulatory requirements. They use big data to do what? To comply with regulatory requirements such as anti-money laundering and know your customer regulations. And that involves analyzing large volumes of transactions to identify suspicious activities and so on. And the data that may be used here is could include the transaction records, it could include the customer identification data, the regulatory reports, etc. Regulatory compliance and reporting. So these are examples, candidates of the application of big data in the financial sector. I've given examples so that you are in a position to understand the financial aspects involved in projects that utilize large and complex data sets in the financial sector. 1 is the fraud detection and prevention. Number 2, algorithmic trading. 3, credit scoring and risk assessment. Financial institutions also use big data in customer segmentation and personalized banking. Then we have regulatory compliance and reporting. Now this time we're going to answer one question that has so far been tested under this subtopic big data project finance, and the question was tested in the April 2022 sitting. April 2022. This is question 4. Question 4, is it A or B? C. Question 4C. Now, candidates here were required to highlight advantages of big data analytics. Advantages of big data analytics in the financial sector. Advantages of big data analytics in the financial sector. Just as we've discussed, candidates, big data analytics offers benefits. Through the examples that we've given here, you can see that there are many benefits that can accrue to a company that utilizes big data analytics. And one obvious benefit or advantage is risk management. One, enhanced risk management. Big data analytics enhances risk management through fraud detection, through credit assessments, through market risk analysis, and so on. So this can be achieved through fraud detection. Fraud detection. There are tools that an organization can use to detect fraud. Big data enables real-time. It enables real-time monitoring of transactions, identifying anomalies that may indicate fraudulent activities. And this significantly reduces financial losses and strengthens security. Risk management can also be enhanced through credit risk assessment. Credit risk assessment. Credit risk assessment. Now, by analyzing diverse data sources, financial institutions can create more accurate credit scores, which then improves lending decisions, reducing defaults, and so on. And that allows for more holistic view of customers' financial health. Risk management can also be enhanced through market risk analysis. Market risk analysis. The analysis of market risk. Big data helps analyze market trends and predicts potential risks, which allows for better investment strategies and risk mitigation. So that's the first advantage. Enhanced risk management. I've used the 3 points to explain how risk management is enhanced. Second advantage is in relation to customer experience. It leads to improved customer experience. Data analytics can lead to enhanced or improved customer experience through personalized services, because analyzing customer data enables financial institutions to offer tailored products and services, which enhances customer satisfaction and loyalty, and that leads to more targeted marketing and improved customer relations and retention. Another point could be customer segmentation, which we discussed earlier. Customer segmentation. Big data allows for detailed customer segmentation, which enables institutions to understand customer needs and preference more effectively. You understand? Yes. 3, improved or increased operational efficiency. Increased operational efficiency is a benefit of big data analytics in the financial services sector through automation. This is made possible through automation. Automating services. Big data analytics can automate various processes such as loan approvals and regulatory compliance, which reduces manual labor and errors, and that leads to significant cost savings and improved efficiency. This efficiency can also be attained through process optimization. Process optimization. Processes may be optimized through big data analytics. By analyzing operational data, financial institutions can identify bottlenecks and also inefficiencies, which streamlines workflows and improve overall performance. 4, enhanced regulatory compliance. Now, big data analysts help automate compliance processes, making it easier to detect or even prevent financial crimes. And that reduces risk of regulatory fines and improves compliance efficiency. You've seen aspects like anti-money laundering, and know your customer. All right, know your customer. Big data can also simplify the process of compiling and even analyzing data for regulatory reports. This is the 4th benefit. The 5th benefit is associated with investment strategies. Big data analytics can lead to better investment strategies. Better investment strategies. Better investment strategies. How is it a benefit? Now, big data analytics allows financial institutions to identify emerging market trends and make informed investment decisions. You understand? And that can also be made possible through portfolio management, because real-time market data allows for more effective portfolio management and asset allocation. So these are 5 benefits of big data analytics in the financial sector. And that's the end of the lesson on big data project finance. In this lesson, we've defined big data, we've defined project finance, we also defined big data project finance, we've given examples of application of big data. Then we've gone ahead to answer the April 2022 question that was tested, that has been so far been tested on this subtopic. We only have a question on the advantages of big data analytics in financial sector. We've identified 5 benefits of business data analytics or big data analytics. Big data analytics. All right. So these are 5 advantages. Now, thank you for choosing to study with us. We continue to share knowledge in the advanced financial management subject, and the topic is contemporary issues. In our next session, we are going to tackle Islamic finance, which is a topic in the earlier financial management paper. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye. Greetings, candidates, and welcome back to the lesson. Today we continue with the topic contemporary issues and emerging trends in finance. In our today's session, we will focus our attention on the behavioral finance, which is a field that seeks to understand and explain how psychological influences impact financial decision making. It's not the first time we are studying behavioral finance, because in our earlier studies we covered behavioral finance in detail. Here we are studying it under the contemporary issues and emerging trends in finance. And this topic or subject essentially bridges the gap between traditional finance theory and the reality of human behavior. So when you say human finance, you are referring to the bridging of the gap between the traditional finance theory and human behavior. It is a field of study that combines psychology and economics to explain why people often make irrational financial decisions. In economics, we study that investors are deemed to make rational decisions. That is economic theory. But in practice, investors or people tend to make irrational financial decisions. So behavioral finance, in other words, challenges the traditional economic theory that assumes individuals are always rational actors. Psychology has taught us differently, that people are not necessarily rational actors when it comes to investment decisions. So in this lesson, we'll briefly discuss some of the key concepts or the core concepts in behavioral finance, beginning with what I've just stated. Human beings are not necessarily rational actors. They depart from rationality. So one of the core concepts is departure from rationality. Departure from rationality. The traditional finance assumes that people make decisions based on logic or self-interest. But behavioral finance recognizes that people are influenced by emotions, by feelings, by social influences, by cognitive biases. You understand? Departure from rationality. That is one key concept of behavioral finance. Then we have cognitive biases. Cognitive biases. Now, these are cognitive biases. These are systematic errors in thinking that affect financial judgments. They are just systematic systematic errors that influence financial judgments. And examples of these systematic errors or the cognitive biases include things like loss aversion, loss aversion. What does that mean? Now, this is the tendency to feel the pain of losses more than the pleasure of gains. The tendency to feel the pain of losses and not the gain of, and not the pleasure of gains. That's what we are referring to as loss aversion. That's a common cognitive bias. Another example is overconfidence. Overconfidence. Being too confident. That means overstating one's own abilities and knowledge. That is a systematic error. Being overconfident. 3, herd mentality. Herd means group, crowd, following the crowd, even when it may not be rational. There are times when individuals make decisions because other people are making the same decision. What we are referring to as herd mentality. It is a cognitive bias, which you've defined as a systematic error in thinking that affect financial decisions. There are times when individuals do not question, do not look at all the information that is required before making a financial decision or investment decision. Where times when individuals make decisions because others are making decisions. An individual invests in stock A because everyone is investing in stock A without checking factors that should be checked before investing in stocks. Herd mentality. We can go on and give anchoring as an example of a cognitive bias. Anchoring. What is the meaning of anchoring? Anchoring means relying too heavily on first piece of information that is received. Relying too heavily on first information that is received. That's a cognitive bias. Let's move on to the third key concept of behavioral finance, which is emotional influences. Emotional influences. Emotions like fear, emotions like greed, emotions like regret can drive what we call impulsive financial decision making. Emotional influences. We know before making decisions, one has to consider logic. One has to be rational. But behavioral finance teaches that there are times when people make decisions based on emotions, and the emotions will be emotions out of like fear, like anger, and all that. Emotional influences. 4, heuristics. Heuristics are just mental shortcuts. Mental shortcuts. Heuristics are mental shortcuts, all right, that people use to simplify decision making, especially complex decisions. And these shortcuts, while they may be helpful, they can also lead to errors. Mental shortcuts. Take these are just a few of the key concepts in behavioral finance. Now let's take some time and discuss one of the a few applications of behavioral finance. Applications. Now the first application is investment decisions. Investment decisions. Behavioral finance helps explain why investors buy high and sell low, or hold on to losing investments for too long. There are times when individuals may be advised to sell the investments, but they may hold on to such investments for too long, holding on to losing investments. You may check the trend that the prices are consistently going down. A rational investor would sell the investments, but there are those who hold on to investments for too long. Understand? That is one application in which behavioral finance helps us to explain or understand. There are times when someone may wonder, why did you hold on to those two shares when it was clear that the prices were going down? The answer lies in behavioral finance, which you said that is a field of study that combines psychology and economics to explain why people sometimes make irrational decisions. So it is irrational to hold on to a losing investment for too long. And we are studying here that behavioral finance is helping us understand why that happens, why individuals make such irrational decisions. Number two, market, what do you call it? Behavior. Market behavior. Now, behavioral finance can shed light on market bubbles. It can shed light on market crashes. When you hear the market has crashed, which is often driven by irrational panic. Markets crash because of irrational panic. You've seen people rushing to withdraw their money from banks in droves. That can be explained by the study of behavioral finance. Right? Market behavior, market crashes. This is also known as speculative bubble. Okay? Speculative bubble, which occurs when the price of an asset significantly and rapidly exceeds its fundamental value. When the price of an asset significantly and rapidly exceeds the fundamental value, its intrinsic value, that's what we are referring to as a market bubble. You understand? Yes. So market behavior. 3, financial planning. Behavioral finance can be applied in financial planning because understanding behavioral biases can help individuals make better financial plans and avoid common pitfalls like the ones that we have explained here, the cognitive biases. The 4th application is corporate finance. Corporate finance. Behavioral finance can help companies understand investor behavior and therefore how to best interact with those investors. So these are just 3 of the many applications of behavioral finance. And one may ask, what is the importance? Why does behavioral finance matter? Importance. Why does it matter? Behavioral finance, to answer that question, candidate, matters for several crucial reasons, which may impact both individuals and the broader financial system. One obvious reason is that the study of behavioral finance leads to improved individual financial decision making. Improved financial decision making. That's one reason why behavioral finance matters. By recognizing their own cognitive biases like loss aversion overconfidence, herd mentality, anchoring, and so on, by recognizing, okay, these biases, individuals can become more aware of potential pitfalls in their financial decision making. And this awareness allows for more conscious and more deliberate choices rather than impulsive, emotional driven actions. The study of behavioral finance leads to improved individual financial decision making. That's one reason why behavioral finance is important. The second reason is that the study leads to enhanced financial planning. It enhances financial planning. Behavioral finance provides tools, provides strategies to overcome common biases, leading to more effective financial planning. For example, understanding loss aversion can help individuals create diversified portfolios and avoid panic selling during market downturns. Emotional financial planning. 3, it can lead to better investment choices. That is an obvious reason. Better investment choices. By understanding how emotions influence investment decisions, individuals can avoid common mistakes such as chasing quick gains or even holding on to losing investments for too long. And that leads to more rational and long-term investment strategies. Reason number 4 is in relation to market analysis. More accurate market analysis. More accurate market analysis. More accurate. By studying behavioral finance, individuals can make more accurate market analysis, explaining market anomalies, predicting market trends, and so on. Behavioral finance helps explain market anomalies that traditional finance cannot, such as market bubbles and crashes, because it recognizes that investor sentiment and psychological factors play a significant role in market behavior. It may also help in predicting market trends, because by analyzing investor sentiment and behavioral patterns, analysts can gain insights into potential market trends. And that can help investors make more informed decisions and even anticipate market fluctuations. So these are 4 reasons why behavioral finance is important. And that marks the end of the lesson, in which we have briefly defined behavioral finance. We've outlined some of the key concepts in behavioral finance. That is departure from rationality, number 1. Number 2, cognitive biases. Number 3, emotional influences. Number 4, heuristics. Then we've highlighted 4 applications of behavioral finance, beginning with investment decisions, market behavior, financial planning, and corporate finance. Lastly, we've discussed the importance of behavioral finance. One importance is that it enhances or it leads to improved financial decision making. Number 2, it enhances financial planning. Number 3, it leads to better investment choices. And lastly, it can help investors make more accurate market analysis, which include explaining market anomalies and also predicting market trends. Predicting market trends. Understand? Yes. Thank you for attending the lesson. In our next session, we continue to share knowledge in financial management. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to the lesson. Today we are going to discuss the challenges facing auditing public sector institutions. Auditing of public sector institutions presents a unique set of challenges that can impact the effectiveness and the efficiency of the audit process and the quality of audit reports. And these challenges are often more complex than those faced in the private sector due to the distinct nature of public entities, due to their distinct objectives, funding sources, and the environment in which they operate. Due to the environment in which they operate, due to their unique objectives, these public sector entities face a myriad of challenges. And in this lesson, we are going to discuss some of the challenges, and therefore, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to discuss challenges facing auditing public sector institutions. And some of the key challenges facing auditing of public sector institutions include complexity of public sector operations. One, complexity. Complexity of public sector operations. Public sector entities often have complex structures. They have diverse mandates and operate across multiple programs and projects. So auditing these intricate operations requires a deep understanding of the specific sector, deep understanding of the relevant laws and also regulations and the diverse range of activities undertaken by these public sector entities. So complexity of public sector operations is one of the challenges that the auditors may face when auditing public sector institutions. Point number 2 is volume and complexity of regulations. Volume and complexity of regulations. Now, public sector institutions are governed by a vast array of laws, regulations, and policies, including procedures. We may have, for example, the Public Finance Management Act, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. They are also guided by circulars and guidelines and so on. So ensuring compliance with all these requirements during an audit can be challenging. It may also be time consuming, and that poses a big challenge when auditing public sector institutions. The third challenge is data availability, quality, and accessibility. Data, the availability of data. Data availability, data quality is also a challenge, and also accessibility. Data availability, quality, and accessibility. Now, assessing timely, complete, and accurate financial and non-financial data from public entities can be a significant challenge. There could be issues such as poor record keeping. We may have also fragmented information systems, lack of digitization, or even reluctance to provide information, which hinders the audit process and affects the reliability of audit findings. 4, independence and political interference. Independence and political interference. Now, while supreme audit institutions like the Office of the Auditor General in Kenya are designed to be independent, they can still face challenges related to political interference. And this can manifest in various ways, including pressure regarding audit findings, resource allocation, or even the appointment and removal of the audit staff. So maintaining perceived and actual independence is crucial, but can be difficult in practice. Independence and political interference. We are discussing challenges, candidates, and the fifth challenge is capacity constraints. Capacity constraints. Public sector audit institutions may face constraints in terms of adequate human, financial, or even technological resources. They may experience staff shortages, lack of specialized skills, for example, IT auditing, performance auditing, or even forensic auditing, including insufficient, what we call budget allocations and outdated technology, which can limit the scope and the depth of audits. 6, resistance to audit. Resistance to audit findings and recommendations. Resistance to audit findings and recommendations. Audit of public institutions can face resistance because audited entities may resist audit findings or be slow in implementing audit recommendations. And that can be due to various reasons, including lack of ownership of the findings, limited capacity to implement changes, or just a culture that does not fully embrace accountability. That's point number 6. Challenge number 7 is measuring economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. That can be a challenge. Measuring economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Conducting performance audits, which are value for money audits, to assess the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness of public programs can be challenging. So developing appropriate criteria and even obtaining sufficient and appropriate evidence to measure these aspects objectively requires specialized skills and methodologies which may not be available to the individuals who are auditing these public sector institutions. 8, lack of commercial focus. Unlike private sector companies that are driven by profit motives, many public sector entities have a social or service delivery objectives, and this can make it difficult to apply traditional audit approaches and even metrics, and requires auditors to adopt a broader perspective that considers the achievement of public policy goals. So that lack of commercial focus is also a challenge. 8 plus 1 is 9. Stakeholder expectations. Stakeholder expectations. Public sector auditors face high expectations from a wide range of stakeholders, including parliament, county assemblies, citizens, civil society groups, and even the media. So meeting these diverse expectations effectively and effectively communicating complex audit findings to these different audiences can be a challenge, can be demanding, and it can be a big challenge. 10. Audit of IT systems. Audit of IT systems. Public sector institutions are increasingly relying on complex IT systems for financial management and service delivery. And therefore, auditing the security, the integrity, and even the reliability of these systems requires specialized IT audit expertise, which may be limited. So these are 10 challenges facing auditing of public sector institutions. The first one is complexity of public sector operations. Number 2, volume and complexity of regulations. 3, data availability, quality, and accessibility. Independence and political interference. Number 4. Number 5, capacity constraints. 6, resistance to audit findings and recommendations. 7, measuring economy, efficiency, and effectiveness can be a challenge. Number 8, lack of commercial focus. Number 9, stakeholder expectations. And lastly, auditing of IT systems can be also a challenge. And therefore, candidates, these are 10 challenges, and addressing these challenges requires a continuous effort to strengthen the legal and institutional framework for public sector auditing. It requires also continuous effort to enhance the capacity of audit institutions, to promote a culture of accountability and transparency within public sector entities, and also safeguarding the independence of the audit function. Thank you for attending the lesson. Bye-bye. Greetings, candidates, and welcome to the Manifested e-learning platform. The subject is Advanced Public Financial Management. Today, we move on to topic number 7, internal auditing in the public sector. This chapter has 9 sub-chapters, namely 1, establishment and scope of internal audit function. 2, objectives and functions of the internal audit function. 3, the internal control system and its procedures. 4, internal audit function reporting structure. 5, internal audit standards and guidelines. 6, qualification for and professional bodies guiding internal auditors. 7, the establishment, appointment, and functions of audit committee. 8, the role of audit committees in management of public funds. 9, merits and demerits of establishing audit committees. These are 9 subtopics, and we'll be taking a subtopic at a time, beginning with the first subtopic, which is the establishment and scope of internal audit function. Establishment and scope of the internal audit function. And here we will be focusing on the Kenya's public sector, the Kenyan public sector. Those are 2 things, candidates: establishment and scope. Establishment and scope. Let's begin by discussing the establishment. Establishment of the internal audit function in Kenya's public sector. And candidates, the establishment of internal audit function is a mandatory requirement for public sector entities in Kenya, and it is primarily driven by the PFM Act of 2012. That is the legal framework which underscores the critical role of internal audit function, and it ensures accountability, The objective is to ensure accountability, transparency, and effective resource management within the government. So the establishment of the internal audit function in Kenya's public sector, I repeat, is a mandatory requirement for all the public sector entities in Kenya. And I've said it is driven by the Public Finance Management Act. It is established. The Public Finance Management Act establishes the internal audit function. The internal audit function in all public sector entities. All right? The PFM Act of 2012 establishes the internal audit function in all public sector entities. It's important to note that. And this legal framework, I've said, underscores the critical role of internal audit in ensuring accountability, ensures one, accountability. Number one, it ensures accountability. Number two, transparency. It ensures accountability. It ensures transparency and effective resource management. Effective resource management in all public sector entities, in all public sector entities or within the government. So the Act explicitly requires all national government entities to establish internal audit functions. The Act also mandates county governments. Okay? We have the national government entities, then we have the county government entities. Likewise, or similarly, the county government entities are required to maintain internal auditing arrangements. And it is to ensure that internal audit function is just not an optional add-on, but a fundamental component of governance structure in all public institutions. And candidates, the primary purpose behind the establishment is to support accounting officers and the what we call authority to incur expenditure holders. The purpose is to ensure that they discharge their responsibilities in a manner that is accountable, transparent, and in a manner that helps to effectively manage public resources. So the internal audit function provides these officers, the accounting officers, with the independent and also objective assurance. All right? The internal audit function, I'm saying, provides the officers with the independent and objective assurance, and also consulting services, which helps to ensure or to enhance and protect organizational value. So we have accounting officers, accounting officers, and what we call the authority to incur expenditure holders. Authority AIE holders. AIE stands for authority to incur expenditure. Understand? So That is the establishment of candidates. That is how the internal audit function is established in the public sector. It is anchored on the Public Finance Management Act of 2012. We will not go into the sections and the subsections, but we know it's section 73 of the Public Finance Management Act, which ensures that all national government entities establish internal audit functions. The Act also through, that is section 155, mandates county government entities to do the same. So that is how internal audit function is established in the public sector in Kenya. Let's move on to the scope of internal audit function. Scope. What is the scope of the internal audit function? Now, the scope of internal audit in Kenya is broad and it is risk-based, which encompasses a wide range of an entity's operations and processes. And the scope is guided by the global internal audit standards. The internal audit function scope, candidates, we can also say, involves various aspects, which includes evaluating the effectiveness of governance processes. One, evaluating the effectiveness of governance processes. That is one aspect of the internal audit function, is to evaluate the effectiveness of governance processes. This function assesses how an entity is directed, how an entity is controlled, including the ethical tone, organizational performance management, and also accountability. The second aspect is assessing the adequacy and effectiveness of risk management systems. Assessing the adequacy. Number two is to assess the adequacy and effectiveness the adequacy and effectiveness of risk management systems. To assess the adequacy and effectiveness of risk management systems. That's the second aspect. Because it is this function that reviews how the entity identifies, assesses, prioritizes, and manages risks that could affect the achievement of its objectives. Number three, examining the effectiveness and efficiency of internal control systems. Examining the efficiency and effectiveness of internal control systems. Examining the efficiency and effectiveness of internal control system. It is the internal audit function that evaluates the design and operating effectiveness of controls implemented to ensure the reliability of financial reporting, compliance with laws and regulations, and also safeguarding of assets. Number four, reviewing financial management systems. Reviewing financial management systems and records. That is another aspect. Assessing the accuracy, the completeness, and also the validity of financial information and ensuring compliance with financial regulations and procedures. And that includes examining budgetary controls, expenditure management, revenue collection, and asset management. 5. The fifth point under scope of the internal audit function is auditing for compliance with laws. Auditing for compliance with the laws, regulations, procedures, policies, and so on. Auditing for compliance with laws, policies, procedures, regulations, etc. So it is the role of the internal audit function to verify that the entity's activities are conducted in accordance with relevant laws, relevant regulations, the entity's policies, as well as internal policies and procedures. So candidates, we are discussing the scope of the internal audit function. All right, the internal audit function. Let's move on to the 6th point. Let me move to page number 3. Now, the 6th aspect is conducting performance and value for money audits. The internal audit function in the public sector also conducts performance and value for money audits. It does that by assessing the economy, efficiency, and the effectiveness of the entity's operations, programs, and projects in order to identify areas for improvement and cost savings. 7. Performing systems audits. Performing systems audits. Performing systems audits. Performing systems audits. That means evaluating the design and operation of key operational and financial systems to ensure they function effectively and support the achievement of the organization's goals.